Push it to the limit.
Limit. Walk along the razor's edge. I think you've just found our new intro.
You are mine now. You belong to me. Today we're going to play a new fun game.
Hello and welcome to the Twin Peaks podcast. My name's Dan.
My name's Nicole.
So this is our 42nd episode, and this is our sports episode. We're covering Marvellous 2014 and White Men Can't Jump, and they couldn't be more different.
Very different to each other.
Very different. One's a very sweet, quite a nice tale, and the other one's just two people swearing at each other a lot, talking about each other's mothers, and playing basketball. But yeah, so we're going to review those, and after that we're going to pick our two films for next week.
Yeah.
And we've got a theme which we'll talk about when that comes up, and then the last bit is stitch up. One of us has to watch a terrible film or a film that we sort of wouldn't really want to watch in real life. And this week it's going to be me talking about Pink Flamingos. Have you seen this? Have you seen this film?
I'm so excited to hear your review on this. I saw our mate Dimitri. He put it 1 star, and I saw his review, and I was like, "Oh God, this sounds terrible." So, yeah.
Well, we'll talk about it when we get to it. But yeah, it was an experience, I think, is the only thing that I'll say about it right now. Before we get to all that, anything goes, mate. So you've been busy, haven't you?
I have been fucking busy this week. So one of my mates, she's like, "Oh, you know how to sew. Can you make like a couple of masks for me?" And then she's like, "Oh, you should put it on Marketplace and see if there's any interest." I'm like, "Oh, yeah." So I did that on Friday night. Next minute, I've got like 10, 15 orders for heaps of masks. And then our regulations in Melbourne have changed that we have to wear a mask no matter what. So when that happened, all of a sudden I got bombarded with so many orders. So I've been sewing like crazy this week.
Oh, bloody Rumpelstiltskin, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. I have not slept properly because of it.
I keep seeing your social media updates, and it looks like you've just been going crazy at it.
Just filling bobbins constantly over and over again.
Where'd you get all your fabrics from?
This is the thing. I've always had this fabric. I lie. I went to Spotlight, which is a fabric store here in Australia, on Saturday. I just got some black material. And then on Sunday, all of my masks that were black got sold instantly because everyone just wanted plain. All of my prints that, if you go on my Instagram on Nika Creative, I posted a quick stop motion of some masks that I made. And that's all the material that I had at home.
I can see why black's the most popular colour because, it goes with anything, doesn't it? Black.
Yeah. And then if you're working as well, to be a bit neutral rather than have like, I don't know, bright pink flowers on your face while you're serving a customer or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it would cheer the person that you're dealing with.
Oh, well, look, everyone needs a bit more brightness in their day sometimes, don't they? You should only sell bright colours. I
do. Oh, God, so many bright colours. But it's hard for guys because guys, obviously, they're a bit fussy. Male masks I've had to deal with, they just want plain neutral. They don't want anything. I found some Star Wars material in my bunch of fabrics and sold a bit of that. So
very nice. Can you reuse these masks? Are they like washable and stuff?
Yeah, you can wash these. When we usually record, which is on a Wednesday, it was on my dad's birthday, but you gave me the day off.
I gave you the day off, mate. Yeah. But it's toil, so
Oh, I get paid for it. That's good.
You get him.
I didn't think we get paid for this podcast, but you're telling me I get toil. That's even better.
You give me that £12.78, I'll pay you with that. How was your dad's birthday? How did it go?
Yeah, it was all right. Like, he had to work during the day, and then in the evening, my brother and my sister-in-law they couldn't come inside, but they, said hello to Dad and wished him a happy birthday kind of thing from the door. And I told my dad what I was getting him. I'm getting him a sports streaming service for him to watch Premier League.
Well, you could just buy him a mask. You could make him a mask.
I made him 2. He needs them for work. That's about it for me. What have you been up to?
The start of the week, I made a chicken and curry soup, and I was so eager to drink it that
Ooh.
I burnt my tongue. But it was a very
Oh,
nice soup. It was a very nice soup. You know that feeling when you burn your tongue and your tongue feels a
yeah.
little bit like sandpaper. So I did that and made a bit of soup. It's exciting. I know. Strap yourself in. It's
No,
crazy. It's crazy.
you actually physically making soup as well.
What's so surprising about that?
Well, I don't know. With your lunches at work, you used to have like mac and cheese out of the tin.
I put it in a bowl. First.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And you heated it up, and then you put more cheese and put it in the microwave, and then brought it out again and put more cheese on it.
Yeah, you can't have enough cheese. There is no such thing as too much cheese. That's why I enjoy the Venga Boys.
Venga Boys. That's like 90s, right?
Yeah.
I actually saw them a few years ago.
Did you?
So my brother and my sister-in-law, that was my birthday present. They're like, yeah, got you tickets for the Venga Boys. And I was like, thanks. They're like, it's the Venga Boys. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. And they
Yeah.
came with me. They're like, oh, we bought tickets as well. So I think they were at Festival Hall.
It was 2 for
Oh my
one,
God,
wasn't it?
it was toilet. It was so shit. And they were feeling so ill when we went for the festival. And I was just like, oh, this is a laugh. So I was just like having fun. And they were like, that was so shit. And like, yes. Now you know why my reaction was like, oh, great, you got me Venga Boy tickets for my birthday.
Of course it's shit. It's the Venga Boys. But it's meant to be shit. You just go there and just wave your arms about, didn't you? Like a crazy person. Boom, 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 boom.
Oh, like those tracks were good, but then they played like new stuff.
Have they got new stuff? Are they touring a new album, are they? Brand new band, new drummer.
What have you been watching? Because I can tell you I haven't watched a lot this week.
You've watched a lot of Sewing Machine action.
Yeah. The sewing machine. Well, while I've been sewing, I had like my laptop next to me watching TV shows. So the 3 shows that were playing throughout the past 4 days was I started off with Dexter. I think like only 8 episodes of Dexter. I'm like, oh, I feel like I need to concentrate a bit more. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I just need something easygoing in the background. So I put Friends on, but I've like watched Friends so many times this year. And I was like, oh, I need something different. So I put the Golden Girls, which I've never seen before.
The Golden Girls! Blimey!
Yeah.
That's a blast from the past.
Blast from the past. Oh my God, fucking Betty White is hilarious in that. It's so good, man. I was just like, when I was watching it, I was constantly laughing.
You pulled that out your ass, didn't you? What made you want to watch the Golden Girls?
I watched the OC when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
You've never seen the OC, right?
No.
I think there was a reference in the first season, a couple, Summer and some other chick were in like the bathroom, and I think they were singing the tune from the Golden Girls. I was like, oh, what is the Golden Girls? I think that was like, that's the way I got introduced to them.
Was that the genesis of it, was it?
Yeah.
The OC.
And I was like, yeah, the OC. God. The OC was so good, and then after season 3, season 4 went to shit.
Oh, I never saw it. I had a mate that was quite obsessed with it, and we went to the States a few years ago, and we ended up going to a place. I think it was called Balboa.
Yeah, you can put the alarm on. That's my mum.
Hello, mum. You're on a podcast. Hello. Oh, we're not too loud, are we?
No, she's just asking if to actually. No, actually, don't put the alarm on. I'll put it on because I'm going to go back downstairs later. Yeah. Good night.
Good night.
And that was my mum, everyone.
Hello, mum.
Hello, mum. Okay, we're talking about Golden Girls. Yeah, so that's
OC. The OC.
OC.
Saying. So
yeah.
I had a mate that was obsessed with the OC, and he always used to talk about it. And when we were in the States one time, and he kept pointing things out to me, saying, "Oh, that's where so and so kissed on a big wheel," and I didn't have a clue what he was talking about. Is there a big wheel in it where 2 people kiss? Maybe there's someone called Ryan. Is there a Ryan?
Yeah,
in it?
Ryan. Oh my God, Ryan was the babe there was Ryan and Seth. It's like everyone was like, oh, who would you prefer, Ryan or Seth? And I was more of a Ryan type of girl.
You're more of a Ryan, were you?
Yeah.
Poor Seth. What was wrong with him?
I was like, I don't know. A lot of people like Seth though. He was the kind of geeky, nerdy guy, which is funny because I tend to go for those type of guys in general. And Ryan was kind of like, he was kind of the bad boy, but he was also, well, I think he had a bad past, that's all. And then
He was just misunderstood, wasn't he, Ryan?
yeah, that's it.
You know, he just had to get his head straight. He was just a boy. He was just learning. He was growing. We all grow. I guess that's what's so good about the show.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about the OC? We've covered Golden Girls and the OC, and I ain't even started on my notes yet. A couple of weeks ago, we mentioned on the show that for some reason we spoke about Black Books, and I went on Amazon and they've got all 3 seasons, so I binged all of them in like 2 days, 18 episodes, and it's hilarious. It's brilliant. It's exactly what I needed. And then after I watched that, I wanted to carry on watching funny shit, so I thought I'd give this Laugh Out Loud program a try that you were telling me about.
Oh,
The Australian thing. Well, I tell you what, like I haven't laughed so hard in quite a while. Just at the silly shit that they were doing. It's a load of comedians in a room, and they've got 6 hours, and the idea is that they can't laugh, but they've got to make each other laugh. I found Frank Woodley the funniest, I think, out of everybody.
He's really good. He's been in the biz for a long time. Him and Sam, is it Sam?
Sam Simmons.
Sam Simmons. He did outrageous stuff on Last One Laughing.
Spoilers, if you haven't seen it, I'm going to spoil it, but the last episode is them just those two, Frank and Sam. And Sam brought in all these props, didn't he? He had a dick jacket.
Oh my God. If I was in that room, I would have just lost it then.
I wouldn't last 5 minutes. I wouldn't last 5 seconds. But there was some really funny shit in there. And like there was a lot of stuff that was quite cringe and painful, but there was some gold in there as well that just caught you off guard as well.
Auntie Carol was
great. Auntie Carol was great. But I really liked Frank. I liked his like diversity of all of his jokes, and I loved the way like someone would say something and then he'd latch onto it. There was one line in particular which I won't go through because I'll ruin it. But yeah, so I watched that, and then I thought I'd have a look at some of these comedians, and they've got some stand-up shows on Amazon. I watched.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I watched something with Leno and Woodley when he was part of Leno.
Yeah,
Woodley and Leno.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was Leno and Woodley show. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all. I mean, it was a bit silly. It was all right, but it wasn't really my cup of tea. So I watched about 20 minutes of it, and then I watched a little bit of Anne Edmonds. Is it?
She was the one that did Auntie Carol, right?
Auntie Carol, yeah. And I watched a little bit of hers as well, but I've got to finish watching that. So I've been indulging myself in your culture, mate.
Oh, nice.
So what else have I been watching? I watched Universal Soldier Regeneration, which is the only good Universal Soldier sequel.
Okay.
I watched a film that they spoke about on Movie Drone, or they've got to watch it for part of homework, The Sanctum. And their episode will be out before this one, so I will tell you it's not very good. I watched Yes Man.
I haven't seen Yes Man, actually.
Yes Man's great. It's based on a book by Danny Wallace, and I need to read that book. Everyone keeps telling me, if you like the film, you need to read the book because it's much, much better. That's about it, really. That's really all I've spoken about. The most exciting thing that's happened to me this week, mate, is a hot soup, so I've really got nothing else to say in this section. Should we move on?
Let's move on.
Let's move on to the main part of the show, and the main part is where we talk about the 2 films we picked last week, based on a theme that we chose. Because it was your dad's birthday, you wanted to go for sports themed films. So we picked Marvellous 2014 and White Men Can't Jump.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about first?
White Men Can't Jump.
You want to go there first, do you? Straight in with the obscenity.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, White Men Can't Jump. 1992, directed by Ron Shelton. Did I say directed properly?
I think you did. You're going to say it again.
I said the word, and in my head I heard. Blah, 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 blah. I was like, that's not right. So, White Men Can't Jump, directed by Ron Shelton. It was made in 1992. It's 115 minutes long. Tagline: It ain't easy being this good. And the synopsis is Billy Hoyle and Sidney Dean are an unlikely pair of basketball hustlers. They team up to con their way across the courts of Los Angeles, playing a game that's fast, dangerous, and funny, apparently. But yeah, so it stars Woody Harrelson as Billy Hoyle, Wesley Snipes as Sidney Dean, and Rosie Perez as Gloria. And they're the three main characters. So Woody Harrelson he's a basketball hustler, but you don't know that straight away. You're introduced to the character, and he's wearing a parental advisory T-shirt. And I can't help but think that that's a warning to the audience, because when I was a kid, my parents would let me watch anything. Like I could watch RoboCop, I could watch Return of the Living Dead 3, Hellraiser, whatever you want. But for some reason, they wouldn't let me watch White Men Can't Jump. So I remember being at Blockbuster Video and going, I want to watch that one. And they were like, no, you can't watch that. And then the next weekend, I went round my cousin's house and we rented it from his local video shop. So I got to watch it anyway. But yeah, I think the reason they didn't want me to watch it is because it's very sweary. It's very sweary. You all right? Are we keeping you up here, mate?
No, you're right, mate.
A little sleep. Go on, have a little slumber.
A bit like this movie for me, but that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we said earlier that the two films couldn't be any more different.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically the setup is Woody Harrelson is looking for a basketball game, and he manages to hustle with Wesley Snipes a bit, who's also a basketball hustler. And then Wesley Snipes hustles Woody Harrelson because Woody Harrelson hustled Wesley Snipes, and then Woody Harrelson finds out that Wesley Snipes has hustled Woody Harrelson, so Woody Harrelson wants to do more hustling with Wesley Snipes, and then they do some hustling together for a bit, don't they? And then there's a couple more hustles after that, and then there's a final hustle.
Did you say is it early 90s?
1992. Yeah. It's proper 90s, isn't it? It's that 90s aesthetic.
Yeah.
The hat with the peak pointing upwards and the long socks. And the insults, there was a lot of your mama's insults, weren't there? There's a lot of that 90s stuff. Their first game together, I really enjoyed that opening 20 minutes where Woody's making himself look like a nerd and he's sort of pretending that he can't play, and he's making himself look quite silly with stretching, and there's a bit of banter. Wesley Snipes like, what are you stretching for?
That's not going to do anything for you.
Yeah, exactly. And then they bet, and then they have this like shoot off. Maybe they call it a shoot off. I don't know basketball terminology, mate, but I'm going to call it a shoot off. Where they get to 5 points, they have to get to 5 hoops.
Yeah.
Woody's like, I never get 3 in a row, man. I never get 4 in a row. I never get 5 in a row. And then he wins that.
Yeah.
And then they decide to team up together and go and hustle some other hustlers. And it's about them going around the city looking for basketball games. They have one game where they're betting, and a dude's like, oh yeah, I just need to go to my glove box to get the money. And he pulls out a gun. And he goes to the shop and he goes to rob the money from the shop, but he ends up selling his gun to the shop owner, and that's how he raises his money. But yeah, Sidney and Billy win that match, but Sidney ends up hustling Woody out of his money and he loses everything. So his motivation is that he's got a girlfriend, Gloria, who's Rosie Perez, and they both owe money, $8,000 I think it was, to some local gangsters. And he keeps going to trying to raise all this money on a basketball court, but he keeps losing it, and she's losing her shit, and he's not paying much attention to her and stuff, and their relationship's on the rocks. And it just gets worse when Sidney and Billy are hustling and he's losing his money. It just gets worse for him, and he has a few run-ins with the gangsters and stuff, and then Rosie Perez really wants to go on Jeopardy, so she's been studying.
Yes.
She's been studying the whole time to go on Jeopardy. She knows everything about volcanoes.
She's so smart.
Yeah, and that was the ending to the film, wasn't it? I was quite surprised by that ending. I didn't see that coming. You'd expect it to build up to like a big basketball game, right? But
They do have a basketball game at the end.
They have the tournament, don't they?
They have the tournament, and then she does Jeopardy, and her and Woody get back together, and she's got all this money. She's like, "Oh, I'll give you $2,000," you know.
Oh yeah, of course.
And then Sidney bumps into him. He's like, "Oh, there's one game, and it's like a lot of money." And she goes, "If you play that game, then I'm out of here." Like, you'll never see me again. So that's the end of their bloody relationship. And they play the last game and they win. And he has enough money to pay the gangsters back.
Yeah.
It was funny because when I watched that scene, I watched that this morning. It's like he gives the money and the next minute you see him like dead. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It was only just for a photo or something.
Yeah, they took a photo of him pretending to be dead so they could tell everyone that they killed him.
Yeah, that's right.
But she does leave him and they don't reconcile at the end. They sort of, Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson just sort of walk off into the sunset, don't they? And they do their little basketball game. But I found it was quite an abrupt ending, but I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it too much.
Yeah.
And I found this film really entertaining. I think the first two acts I quite liked. The first act I thought was great. I think it's brilliant. Second one was pretty good. And I just think it sort of started to fall apart at the end for me. But I did really enjoy all that Jeopardy stuff. The soundtrack was really good.
Yeah, the soundtrack was good.
I think they had a bit of James Brown in there. They had Jimi Hendrix, which was quite funny as well. Those Jimi Hendrix scenes, he kept saying, yeah, you listen to Hendrix, but you can't hear it.
Apparently Snipes was a great athlete, but not so great at basketball. Did you know this fact?
I know. All I read was Woody Harrelson was much better. I didn't know that Wesley Snipes wasn't particularly good, but you wouldn't know that, would you? Some of the little moves that he's putting off on that court where he's swinging it around his body and stuff and doing those dunks and whatnot.
Yeah.
I sound so urban, don't I? Doing those dunks and whatnot. Wearing my silly little English hat. I've never felt more white in my life.
Where did they shoot? They shot this. Was it in Miami?
I would assume it was Los Angeles. I know they had they shot outside the Shangri-La, so they definitely did that one in Santa Monica. And yeah, it was a lot of like Venice Beach area, sort of, I guess. I don't know, could be wrong.
Yeah, no, you are right. It was LA. Apparently, their security had to go around to the gangs around that area just to ensure the cast and crew's safety.
Just to let everyone know that they were there and they're filming, and to not go and come and hustle us.
Not do any fucking
Don't do any hustling.
I don't know. What did you rate this film?
I'd say this film was a pretty solid 6 for me. But a very solid 6, like almost a 7. I almost gave it a 7. I was like, not quite. No. I don't know why. I'm just going to say those words.
Oh, I thought you were going to rate higher. I also thought 6 as well.
Did you?
Yeah.
Right. So we weren't blown away by this film, but it was centered around basketball, so it was quite sporty, I thought. Right. Let's move on to Marvellous. Marvellous, 2014, 90 minutes long, directed by Julian Farino. The tagline: I always wanted to be happy, so I decided to be. And the synopsis is dramatisation of true story of the life of Neil Nello Baldwin, born with a mild learning disability, but without the burden of social embarrassment, and how his inexhaustible ability to see the good in any situation overcame any stigma society tried to label him with. The cast was Toby Jones as Neil Baldwin, Gemma Jones as Mary, and Tony Curran as Lou McCarry. I'd never heard of Neil Baldwin before.
Neither.
And he's quite a popular guy in the football world, I guess, and Stoke City in particular.
I've never heard of Stoke City before.
I've been to Stoke. It's near Alton Towers. It's not very nice.
It isn't?
No. I stayed in a hotel there once and I got there. I was like, this is not like the internet. And I demanded a refund. I demanded a refund within 14 days back to the card that I originally purchased it with.
Yeah.
And I was angry, so I went and stayed in Travelodge and got pizza. But anyway, that's my Stoke City. That's my Stoke story. It's the only one I've got. The best thing about Stoke is it's near Alton Towers. And Neil Baldwin, apparently.
Yeah.
But I knew nothing about him before watching this. So it was nice to get that kind of, that flavour. It's not something I would ever choose to watch myself. But I really enjoyed watching it. It was a nice, pleasant, little uplifting story, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And Toby Jones was fantastic as the guy.
He was so good.
He was. Yeah. He was really sort of lost in that role, wasn't he? Because they had the real Baldwin. They had the real Neil Baldwin. Try and say that quickly. Real Neil Baldwin. It's easy.
They had the real Neil Baldwin in the film, yeah.
All right, show off. So the real one, the real guy, he was in it,
Yeah.
wasn't he? He kept popping up, and they would have a little scene where Neil would pop up and say, the real Neil would pop up and say, "Oh, this really happened," and then there'd be another one that says, "Oh, this didn't quite happen this way."
Yeah.
And that was a nice little touch. It was really what I really liked about that. It was when Toby Jones, as the character Nello or Neil, was talking to the real one, and it was kind of like, how do you explain it? It's like self-talk, I guess. You know, like you have that voice in your head, don't you? You're like, oh yeah, this thing's good or this thing's bad. Or try to be a good person and do this. And it's like, I don't know, it felt like that inner dialogue you have with yourself. It was quite a nice way of representing that on screen, I thought. Quite a meta way of doing it, but I thought it was good.
We get introduced by him as he's a clown, right?
Yeah, he's in the circus and he's getting sort of taken advantage of, isn't he?
Yeah. And he heads back to live with his mum.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, what are you going to do for another job? And he's like, oh, I'm going to work at the university. She's like, oh, when did you get that job? She's like, oh, gonna get that job tomorrow. And he just he finds his way in getting if he wants something, he gets it. Like, if he wants to work with the football team, like, he finds a way to get a job. And that's what he does. And yeah, he just ends up just staying with Stock City for
the rest of time.
The rest of the time, yeah.
Well, he did the mascot thing, didn't he? Where he dressed as a mascot.
Oh, yeah.
And he got his tackle out when Lou was doing that interview. Got lifted up.
And
his
that was real footage of the interview. That was hilarious.
Yeah, but yeah, it was very sweet, and he just got what he wanted by just being nice and pleasant, and people just warmed to him. Toby Jones was really good. He was excellent. Have you seen any interviews or anything with him?
I think I have seen him once on Graham Norton.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. And I had never heard of him. And then when I saw this film, I was like, oh yeah, that's that comedian. Because he's a comedian, right?
I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know him as a comedian.
Okay.
I only know him as an actor.
Okay.
And I know him from primarily Captain America, the first one. But maybe he's been in some like sitcoms and stuff.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, he was great. He got really lost in that, and particularly when that scene where he lost his mum, and he like just broke down on his own in the flat. That was like, you could feel it. He was definitely pulling from some real grief there. I've definitely felt that. Like, felt very raw and authentic, and yeah, it was a very touching scene because his mum was always looking out for him, wasn't she? And she was like, you're using too much electricity because he's trying to heat up his birds.
Yeah.
He's not cooking a Sunday roast when I say that. He keeps budgies and stuff, doesn't he? And Gary Lineker's in it. The man what sells crisps, he pops up. Why did he pop up? I don't really know why. He was just in a dugout. Yeah. Do you have crisps in it? Over here we have these things called crisps, what are made out of potatoes. You probably call them something like potato slices or something obvious.
You just call them chips.
Oh, chips. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's the bloke. He sells chips over here, and or he's like the face of chips. But yeah, he popped up in the film for some reason. It's just a little football reference, I guess. But yeah, it's a very sweet film. And by far the best thing I thought about it was Toby Jones. He's very good as that role. I'd like to see him in a bit more stuff. So
Tony Scholes, I could be saying this wrong. Don't judge me, listeners listening into the podcast.
Any Stoke fans out there, go easy on us.
So he's the chief executive of Stoke City.
Okay.
While this film was being shot, he said that Nell comes to every game still, and at the end of a game, like, he'll always want to like have a chat to him, and win, lose or draw, he always has something positive to say. Yeah,
a true fan.
Yeah, Neil was he had just a positive outlook on everything, I have to say.
Enjoyed it slightly more than White Men Can't Jump overall, so I'll probably go with a 7, I would say.
I will give this an 8 out of 10. Shall we move on to the next part of our double bill?
Yeah, I mean, if you've got nothing else to say about sports, I really ain't got much to say about sports at all. I don't know anything about
I
it.
don't usually have much to say about sports in general. I think we're both on the
Me
same
neither.
page.
Yeah, me neither. Why did we choose sports then? It's the old man's fault. The next section is where we pick 3 films each, and then we knock 2 out of each other's list to end up with a final 2 films that we'll watch and review the following week. And this time, we take it in turns to pick the themes. Last time you picked sports, so it's my turn this time, and I'm picking bloodsuckers. I'm choosing vampires. So get your holy water ready. Have you got a black cape and some plastic fangs?
Ooh, I probably do. Shall we dress up as vampires next week?
So next week I'm expecting fancy dress. We're going to get some blood.
Brilliant.
I'm going to just get not tomato sauce because I hate tomato sauce, but something else that's red. A pepper?
Yeah.
I don't know. But I'm going to fancy dress vampires.
Peppers are capsicums here.
What's a capsicum?
Pepper is a capsicum.
I've never heard the word capsicum in my life.
Whatever you guys call a pepper is what we call a capsicum.
Oh, right. I prefer your name, I think.
Do you?
It sounds more futuristic, doesn't it?
Capsicum.
I'm going to just call them capsicums from now on. Yeah, so fancy dress next week. Bring your capsicums. Vampires. Right. Remember that rule that you made up a couple of weeks ago? Let's go with that. Whoever picks a theme has to go first, right?
Yeah. So it's your turn.
My turn. I've got 3 films for you, right? And I've actually picked them all ahead of time, and I've thought about it for once. My first pick is a film called Vampires.
Fancy that.
It's called John Carpenter's Vampires.
Okay.
Why have you got it?
No, I don't. I'm looking at my list and I'm like, there's potential ones that you may choose because I kind of struggled with this topic in a way.
Did you? I struggled to just have 3. All right, so first choice, John Carpenter's Vampires. Second choice, What We Do in the Shadows. And my third choice is Vampire's Kiss.
Okay. As a joke, I was going to say Twilight, but I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure neither of us want to watch that film.
And you've got like 18 of them to choose from as well. None of them are good. All right, so what you got?
My first pick is Byzantium. Second pick is From Dusk Till Dawn. And my third pick is Let the Right One In.
Interesting choices, mate.
I'm
going to really struggle with this.
A bit tough.
Really?
Did I choose too well?
I think you chose too well, mate. Can you put some shit ones on there so I can just go, that one, get rid of that one? All right, then. So to recap, I've chosen John Carpenter's Vampires, What We Do in the Shadows, and Vampire's Kiss. You have chosen Byzantium. Yes, we'll go with that.
I was going to go on Google. I was like, oh, how do I say this? But I forgot to do that.
I think you're right, mate. I think you're right. My brain's just having a meltdown, as you know. Start that bit again. Right, so to recap, I've chosen John Carpenter's Vampires, What We Do in the Shadows, and Vampire's Kiss. You've chosen Byzantium. Hey, did it. From Dusk Till Dawn, and Let the Right One In. Good choices. We need to do the immediate knocking out thing, don't we? Without knowing anything about them.
I know.
I think I know which one I'm going to get rid of out of yours.
Okay.
It's a tough choice because I adore this film. It's one of my favourite ever films. And I've seen it a lot, and I've very nearly put it on my list. But I wanted to go for something a bit different. So I'm going to knock out From Dusk Till Dawn.
Cool.
It's a great film.
I haven't seen it.
Oh.
As per usual, none of these films I've never seen before.
Okay, so From Dusk Till Dawn is gone. And you've got to choose between Vampires, What We Do in the Shadows, and Vampire's Kiss.
I'm gonna get rid of. Oh god, this is hard because I've got no idea what any of these besides the second one because I looked that up before. Okay, let's get rid of Vampires.
Vampires. John Carpenter's Vampires gone.
All right.
It's a good, silly, macho kind of action film by one of my favourite directors. It's not great, but it's entertaining. I liked it when I was 14. So I'm not devastated that you kicked it out, to be honest. So we've got 4 choices left. In my list, we've got What We Do in the Shadows and Vampire's Kiss, and in yours, Byzantium and Let the Right One In. So What We Do in the Shadows, 2014, directed by Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement, who are the... Jermaine Clement was part of the Flight of the Conchords. Don't know if you ever saw that show.
Jermaine! Yes.
Jermaine, Brett and Jermaine. It's hilarious show. I love it. Taika Waititi is obviously quite popular now. He's doing like Marvel films and whatnot. But yeah, this one's a really funny kind of mock documentary about vampires. Synopsis. Vampire housemates try to cope with the complexities of modern life and show a newly turned hipster some of the perks of being undead. And it's Kiwi film, so it's set in Wellington. And when I was in Wellington, I looked up the house where this was filmed, and I tried to. I was going to go down and have a look at it, but it was a massive ball ache to get there, so I didn't go. I went to Weta Studios in the end. But yeah, it's all shot in Wellington, and it's just a very silly film about just taking the mickey out of vampires, and they're kind of playing it kind of straight, but also there's some goofy characters in there as well. It's very funny. And the other one I've got is Vampire's Kiss, and I've not seen this film, Vampire's Kiss, but it's something that I feel like I should watch, and it's Nicolas Cage, and it's a fairly early Nicolas Cage film. It's 1988. The tagline is seduction, romance, murder, the things one does for love. And the synopsis is publishing executive is visited and bitten by a vampire and starts exhibiting erratic behaviour. He pushes his secretaries to extremes as he tries to come to terms with his affliction. The vampire continues to visit and drink his blood, and his madness deepens. It begins to look as if some of the events he's experiencing may be hallucinations. Sounds like a pretty crazy Nicolas Cage vampire film, and I feel like it's missing from the films that I've seen list. Yeah, so I've got a big Vampire's Kiss shaped hole in my list that I need to fill at some point. Yeah. And they're my 2 mates. So what have you got on Byzantium and Let the Right One In?
Okay, so Byzantium, 2012 film, directed by Neil Jordan. Synopsis is 2 mysterious women seek refuge in a rundown coastal resort. Clara meets lonely Noel, who provides shelter in his deserted guest house. Schoolgirl Eleanor befriends Frank and tells him their leather secret that they were born 200 years ago and survived on human blood.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah. Let the Right One In. 2008 film, directed by Thomas Alfredson. And the synopsis is set in 1982 in a suburb of Blackenberg, Stockholm. 12-year-old Oscar is a lonely outsider bullied at school by his classmates at home. Oscar dreams of revenge against his trio bullies. He befriends his 12-year-old next-door neighbor, Eli, who appears at night in the snow-covered playground outside their building. I think it is in Swedish.
It is Swedish. They remade this a few years later, and they called it Let Me In. I think it was the Americanized version of it was called. And that's good. The remake was good, but apparently this is still much better, I've heard.
Okay.
What, are you leaning towards something on mine?
Yeah, I think because initially I had this on my list and I want to see it, I'm going to go with What We Do in the Shadows as so I'm getting rid of Vampire's Kiss.
All right. I should have to Nicolas Cage myself.
Yeah. All right.
Bit strong, isn't it?
Get some Chuck Norris in you.
That's the new podcast phrase, by the way. I don't know if you realise that. I've had some T-shirts made up that say, get some Chuck Norris in you. I'm going to Redbubble them. I'm going to sell them to patrons or somebody else's patrons.
I'll create the design for it.
Do some masks. Do some Chuck Norris masks.
Get some
Chuck Norris in your masks. There you go. That's uplifting. Right. What We Do in the Shadows. We're keeping that. Brilliant. Mm-hmm. It's very funny. Okay. So both of yours are quite dark I would say. So we're going to already have a comedy and a darker film. So that's good. I think I'm going to get rid of Byzantium. I think I'm going to get rid of that.
Okay.
I've always wanted to watch the original Let the Right One In.
Okay.
And it's set in the 80s. And it sounds like a bit of me. Brilliant. Okay, so for next week's theme, vampires, our double bill is going to be What We Do in the Shadows and Let the Right One In. So we'll go away and we'll watch them, and then we'll report back next week on our vampire stuff with our little costumes, maybe.
Yeah.
And our Capricorns. Copernicus.
Capsicums.
Capsicles.
Capricorns. Capsicums. Capsicums.
Capsicums. That's what I said.
No, you said Capricorns.
I did not prove it.
You listened back to this.
Yeah,
and
but
you.
I'll just cut all that out. Right, okay, so vampires next time. Shall we move on to the final section of the show?
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah.
So this is the bit where what we choose films for each other, films that we know that the other person's not going to want to watch. It's called Stitch Up.
Yeah.
And it goes onto a poll, and our Instagram friends, they vote on who they want to stitch up. And last time, you all voted for me, you bastards, and I had to watch Pink Flamingos.
Yeah. They wanted to hear a review on that rather than Battlefields on Earth.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you now, I ain't really got a review on it. I've just got a collection of words.
All right, go.
But yeah, so it's produced, directed, and written by John Waters. And I knew nothing about this film other than what we mentioned earlier. Our old colleague and friend, Dimitri, had watched it and he really didn't rate it. But it is a cult film. It is a very popular film. And I feel like it's probably a love it or hate it kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I definitely am more of the hating it scale of things. And I've got my reasons. So it's all centered around this main character called Filthy Divine, and she's competing with this other group of people to be the filthiest person alive. And it's really just a collection of scenes that are meant to shock you. And they definitely do that. I was speaking to Dimitri while I was watching it, and I was like, mate, how did you get all the way through this film? And he's what he said to me was, if you make it to 38 minutes, then you're good. You'll be able to watch the rest of it. And at 38 minutes, I texted him, was like, you mean this bit? And he's like, yeah.
What is the bit?
So there's a bit in it which is really, really gross, where there's a dude and a woman, and they're having sex, but they get a live chicken, and they put the chicken between them, so the chicken dies.
A live chicken, not
a live chicken. No, a live chicken. So they're going at it, and they've got this chicken between them, and this chicken gets squashed and killed, and there's blood everywhere, and it was a real chicken, and that is the main reason that I don't like this film, because it's just meant to shock. It's meant to, and I mean, look, I assume it's a real chicken. It looked very real, and there was an interview. I saw an interview with the director, John Waters, and he'd said something like, "Yeah, it was a real chicken, but I eat chicken every day. You know, it lands on my plate." What he says is, "I think I made the chicken's life better. It's now in a film, and it got to sort of have sex, and I found that revolting. And it might be that was a fake chicken, and he's just mucking about and joking. Maybe, I don't know, but it didn't feel that
realistic.
Yeah, it looked very real. It looked very real. But then again, I wouldn't know what a dead sex chicken looks like. So, but that was the main reason why, because I was sort of watching it thinking, well, it's meant to shock. Clearly, there are a lot of shocking scenes in it. It is funny. There are funny parts in it. I have to say, the first 10 minutes, it was so weird and crazy that I just thought, this is hilarious. This is the oddest thing I've ever seen. And then it goes too far with the chicken stuff. And later on, the very final scene, apparently this is real as well. Filthy Divine goes up behind a little doggy who's doing some little doggy mess. And she picks it up. She scoops it up with her hand, and she puts it in her mouth. and it's like a very like two girls, one
Right.
cup scenario. It's horrible. It's fucking. It's the worst. It's on par with the Human Centipede, and the Human Centipede weren't even real. It's horrible. Oh, I feel sick just thinking about it. I've still got to drink my protein shake.
Sorry.
My chocolate flavour protein shake. That ain't going to happen now, is it? Now we're talking about Human Centipede stuff. I'm just going to say these words, right? And I just want to see what your reaction is to it. Naked Accordion Snake Festival.
Naked Accordion Snake Festival.
Yeah. I'm going to say something else to you right now.
Okay.
Whistling Anus. What'd you make of that?
Is this some like unusual music festival?
Yeah, basically. It's. I think it's Filthy Divine's birthday, and they have naked accordion players, and they have snakes around them, and then they have a load of gentlemen that lay on their backs and reveal their exit area. No, you know the other side. Yeah, and they pull it apart, quite literally pull it apart, and it's all very. There's a lot of close-ups. Let's put it that way.
Oh my God.
And trust me, like you don't want to be eating your dinner when you're watching. Don't cook yourself a Sunday roast and then sit down to watch Pink Flamingos.
Very Dot Film. If you're listening to this right now, put your lunch down.
Oh God! Don't ever Food Dot Films. That's a good idea, actually. Food Films. If you're listening, Pink Flamingos final scene. Oh God! It's
Don't
horrific,
be watching
mate.
it while you're eating.
It's terrible. I didn't have. Do you know what? I'm glad I've seen it because now I can say that I've seen it. I will definitely never be watching it again.
Okay.
And it's pretty horrific. And the worst thing for me is that whole chicken stuff. If you take that out, then I could sort of see what they're going for. But it did feel like they were just trying to shock for the sake of shocking. And I suppose that's the sort of definition of gratuitous, really. And I found it quite gratuitous, or very good, probably the most gratuitous thing I've ever seen. And I didn't like it very much. So you properly ruined that for me. I'm gonna say 2 stars for the effort, because it did feel like they were quite a team. You know, they did have some very creative ideas, and it was really some really good visual ideas in there. But the chicken stuff and eating dog shit, is it really necessary?
The chicken stuff is just sounds so fucked up.
It's not right, is it? It's not right. Well done. Yeah. Honestly, like I got close to turning it off. I think the only one only stitched up that I've ever switched off was a Human Centipede 2, I think it was.
2.
Yeah. And this one I was close, but I managed to sit it out. I think because Dimitri was like was holding my hand through it.
Holding your hand.
Yeah. It's like, don't worry, mate. It's all going to be all right in the end. You just watch it and you'll still be you and everything will be fine. Oh, all right, mate. Thanks. Yeah, it didn't destroy my soul like Human Centipede did.
Oh, God.
I still think about that now. Anyway, so I didn't even talk about the egg lady. Bloody hell.
Egg lady.
Egg lady. There's so much to cover in this. And I've just written this down as well. Hold these goddamn chickens. Yeah. Anyway, listen. I'm pink flamingoed out, mate.
Okay.
We need to move on and find out who's going to be watching the Stitch Up next time.
Yes.
And I put a poll on this time.
You did. I was watching. I was seeing the poll. I was like, oh, it looks like I might not be watching this. And then people started voting against me slightly before, and I was like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I will be watching a film next week. So I didn't get to see it the last votes.
So the films we chose were, I chose for you Golf Free, and you chose for me Snakes on a Train. And I put the poll on, and we had 10 votes, but there is a clear winner, and it's a landslide, to be honest. And this week, Nicole, you won't be watching Golf Free because
yes.
Because people are fucking stitching me up again for some reason, and I've got to watch Snakes on a Train. Pink flamingos and snakes on a train. And I was saying lost, so I'm going to get lost because I don't know. I'm going to have to watch Snakes on a Plane first, I think. Unless
Maybe
this
I'll
is a
use that
prequel.
as next week's Stitch Up film.
You're mean. You're loving this, aren't you? Well, yeah. So I've got to watch Snakes on a Train, but it could be worse. At least it's not. To be honest, I'm not that unhappy about it. At least it's not Pink Flamingos. I can probably just put this on and just be a good old fun time. Have a beer, maybe. Put the surround sound on.
Yeah,
that's all I'm hoping for. At least I'll be able to take the mick out of it. Oh, so thanks, guys. I know who voted for me. Don't think I don't know who votes for me. I can see all this stuff.
Who voted?
Food Films voted for me.
Yay!
Yeah, you voted for me. Dimitri voted for you.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Your sister-in-law's getting involved, is she?
Yeah, I kind of helped out on that.
Oh, you're proper exploiting the rules, aren't you?
But I've been voting only once. I was like, no, I'm not going to be cheeky and voting twice because I've got 2 accounts. That's not fair.
Yeah, we decided a long time ago that you are allowed to influence, which kind of makes it more interesting, as long as I don't lose every week.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got to pick the films for the next poll, and if you want to do it, you can. If you ain't got time, then I don't mind putting it on again, mate.
No, I'm happy to do it. That's
all
fine.
right, cool.
It's easy to do.
Listen, you chose for me this time a monster kind of snakes on a train scenario, and I thought I'd keep with that sort of theme for you for next week's poll. Mm-hmm. So for you, I'm choosing Jurassic Shark.
Oh God, this sounds like.
It sounds glorious.
It sounds shit.
I had a feeling that you might hate silly monster films, because you know what my weaknesses are. You know my weaknesses are romance and musicals, and I ain't worked out what yours is yet. I did quite well with Beverly Hills Chihuahua, and I looked on your list and I see you hated the Lorax, so I was considering Lorax too.
Yeah, well, because I've recently because I'm back home obviously at the moment, and my friends' kids, whenever I go over, I read them books. And I've been reading a lot of Cat in the Hat books and the Lorax. It's a very good story about the environment. I was like, oh, that's a very good story to tell the kids. And I saw it. I was like, oh yeah, I'll watch it and see if it's any good. And I was very disappointed by it. Yeah.
Did you ever watch the sequel?
No, I've not.
Well, maybe you'll get to see it one day. It's on the list, but I'm going to have to wait for a while so you forget about it. But this time I wanted to go for a monster one, so I went for Jurassic Shark.
Do I be mean and give you snakes on a plane?
It's up to you, mate. This is your card. You've got to play it how you see fit. See, they might be thinking, the voters might be thinking, we made him watch Snakes on a Train last time. Let's not do Snakes on a Plane as well.
And it's on mine, and okay. I'm gonna show you it from the distance. This is my list of films I've got on your.
Is that a letterbox list? Is it a private list?
It is a private list.
Oh dear. I have to get some Russian hackers to hack into your letterbox account.
It's
It's topical, isn't it?
All right. So for next week's Stitch Up film for you, since you're going monsters, I will also go monsters as well.
Oh God! All right.
It's called Extraterrestrial Visitors.
ETV.
ETV. I think so.
Oh,
I think it's in Spanish as well.
Is it?
In español es Los Nuevos extraterrestrials.
I might just watch it in Spanish if I have to watch it. And let's face it, I probably will.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So next week's poll then, which you're going to put on, is Jurassic Park for you versus extraterrestrial visitors in...
Oh, did you say Jurassic Park for me?
No,
Brilliant.
Jurassic Shark. I screwed that up. No, Jurassic Shark. Let me do that bit again.
No, leave it.
No, you're not having Jurassic Park, mate. That's far too good. And we've covered it already. We did it in the Safari episode. Right, no, you've got Jurassic Shark, mate, and I've got extraterrestrial visitors in Spanish.
Yeah.
And you're going to put that poll on.
Yes.
That's it, innit? We finally got through it. We've had multiple technical issues. Again, I've had a brain meltdown.
It's on your side. It's been on your side this week. It's usually my side.
Totally me. My internet died several times, and we've done several attempts at this Zoom recording.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all my fault. And I, we got through it. But that's the main thing. We got through it together. Woo! We did it together.
Oh, friends.
Yeah. So if you've made it through this whole episode, then fair play to you. There are far better things to be listening to. You must be very bored. But if you do want to catch up with us, I'm on Instagram at flick.face, on Twitter at flick_face. And if you want to email the show, you can email us on twinpixpod@gmail.com. Let us know some themes, as we always say.
Yeah.
Where can people catch up with you, mate?
They can catch me on Instagram at Nika Creative or Chikanika.
Brilliant. Let's go. Let's go, man. You got to go to bed.
I'm going to bed.
All right. Thanks for listening.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.